So in terms of being in a marriage, for me, like I told myself, I'm gonna take that serious. I don't play with marriage. I'm not that type of guy. I don't play with, you know what I'm saying? I'm very intentional when I do something, dog. You feel me? So I'm like, all right, if we're gonna get married, we're gonna do this, we lock it in. So that's how I hold out on the temptation, bro. I respect mine no matter where I go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Rivah TV. What's up, guys? It's your girl Rivah, and I'm back again with another video. So most recently, rapper Ace Hood ended up going on to Cam Newton's podcast, and they talked about a multitude of different things. And the clip from the interview that ended up going viral was a clip in which Ace Hood talked about how he navigates temptation as a married man. So I'm going to go ahead and press play, pause, play, and then give you guys my thoughts and my feelings, my opinions on this entire conversation.
Before my wife came into my life, I was the boy. I've had my fair share of women doing whatever I want, boom, boom, having fun, whatever. I learned very early on, bro, like that I had the power in that.
So here in the beginning of the conversation, he talks about the fact that, you know, when he first met his wife, you know, he had already had so much experience, right? He was pick, choosing, and refusing. He had been out there in the streets. He was, you know, doing whatever it was that he was doing. And he looks at that as a signal of immaturity. And what I think is very important for women to understand is, one, that men and women are biologically very different. Okay, a man can park his car in a million different garages, and it's a low percentage of men that is going to be impacted by that emotionally. Okay, yes, we know that there's various different things that can happen when it comes to, you know, infections, all those kind of things. But emotionally, it's very seldom that when men are engaging in those activities that they are impacted emotionally. Okay. Women always try to measure up and do the same things like men. Women try to say, oh, yeah, you know, I had to get out here to make sure that I know what I really want. Whole time they are emotionally impacted by all of those scenarios and have a harder time than bonding with one person, because where men can easily detach within intimacy, women are it's very unlikely that a woman is able to do so. And the percentage of women who are able to do so and detach are in their masculine energy anyway. Two, a very important factor is that, you know, when he went out there and he was doing those things or you know, whatever, he said that he himself had the realization that he had the power and the ability of what he was going to or not going to entertain.
So I was never the type of man that just wanted to share myself with a bunch of women. I always felt like I was a man of value, and always seen that once you connect with somebody on that intimate level like that, it changes the circumstances of things. And that didn't always work out well for me.
Yes, it does change the circumstances. Again, because women are emotionally wired. Okay? So he said he learned very early on, after he done been out there, been in the streets, experienced or whatever, that most of the time the dynamics of the situation are going to change, as they should change. Okay, because as a woman, you are not wired to just have somebody literally enter inside of your body and walk around like nothing just happened. A man can sleep with a woman and get up and just completely forgot that task even happened by the time, you know, a couple hours go by. A woman is not the same. A woman will be meditating on it. A woman can still sometimes feel the remnants of that situation happening. Like, it's a whole different ballgame. And so, of course, the dynamics will change. Of course, you know, there's going to be some drama involved. Of course, there's going to be some problems involved, because there's no, as much as women like to pretend or act like the cool girl and that it doesn't bother them, it is ultimately going to bother them. And so him saying, like, you know, he went through those processes, he went through the change, and he was like, you know what, I don't want to give access to everybody intimately. I also want to protect my seed. That's a realization that he had on his own. Not because no woman forced it on him, ladies. I want y'all to hear what I'm saying. Not because somebody told him to do that. Not because she nagged him into doing it. It's a realization that he had on his own.
So a part of my change and evolution was for me realizing that that's a part of my power. You know what I'm saying? I can't just get it out to bomb. I can't just get it out to anybody. And this is coming in the game because I always felt like what made me step out of the game with that, of just knowing of like, bro, they gonna always be there.
I want to say something, right? And I'm hoping that we're, you know, I know we here, okay? Y'all are here because we here, right? And I want to say that every man is, you can't paint all men with one brush. That's first of all. Same thing you can't do with women, but we're talking about men for now. And there are men who sleep with a multitude of women and feel empowered. Okay, so I think that's an important point to note. There are some men who sleep with a lot of women and feel energized by it. They feel empowered. They feel maybe stronger than when they came to the table. Okay, and you have some men who sleep with a multitude of women and feel that they lose power. They feel weaker. They feel drained. Okay, and so there are different types of people who internalize or who are who are maneuvering when it comes to dating, when it comes to sleeping around, when it comes to sleeping with different women. The reason why it's important for me to bring that up is because clearly from what he's saying, he feels like he loses strength when he is operating in that way. I don't want people, or women in particular, when men are speaking, I don't want women in particular to then say, oh, okay, so men who sleep around are just weakening themselves and they vulnerable. Not every man operates that way. You have men who are, like I said, empowered by it. There's no other way I can put it. And men who are burdened down by it. You have to know the person who you are with. You have to know the people who you are surrounded by. You also have to know that in looking out, even men who are not connected to you, that they are all not having the same exact mindset at all. He had this mindset.
A lot of things in my life I call forth on. I pray about it and I call it forth. So it's not like just a shock. You know what I mean? So I started positioning myself even when I was with the mother of my children and me and her just, you know what I mean? I'm pulling up at a house 3, 4 a.m. in the morning, seeing my kids sleep. That dynamic wasn't healthy for me, dog. So I realized I'm like, you can't do this.
Again. Another self-realization that he had was that being out in the streets wasn't for him. He wanted to create a home life. He wanted to create structure. He wanted balance. All of these qualities that Ace Hood is mentioning throughout this entire conversation so far are all the qualities of what a husband is. Okay? A man who wants to be disciplined. A man who creates structure, balance. A man who wants to create a home. Okay, not just creating any kind of, he wants to create a home. He wants to, resist temptation. All of these things are what a husband is. While there's so many women in the comments praising Ace Hood for this, you women have to understand that when men show you these qualities, you show men that is not the actual man that you really want to be with. Y'all want the man that's the player. Y'all want the man who's outside in the streets. Y'all want the man who's not resisting temptation. You feel good to know that you are the chosen of many. Can we be real for a second? Can we be honest with each other? How can you sit there and applaud this type of behavior and talk about, Cam Newton needs to be taking advice and all these men need to be taking advice from him. That's a real man. Whole time you've encountered men like this and you didn't want them because maybe other women didn't want them. You didn't want them because you wanted, the guy that all the other women say that they want and all the other women want to be with. And so you look at the guy who has these kind of qualities as lame. And then the ultimate guy that you want to be with, that other, women want, that sleep around, that are not prioritizing you, that treating you like a sneaking link. You look at that guy as the ultimate. Just keeping it real.
So she was the first change to that in terms of recognizing the power that I have by retaining. You see what I'm saying? By keeping that. You feel me? Because now I got to say so in the power to be able to say, yes, I want to do it. And not you just shake in my face. And then now I feel like now I'm turned up. It's like, nah, I got the power to decide like to see that and say that it's beautiful and decide to say that now I don't want to indulge in that.
He's making it known that him being with his wife, okay, the woman that he is currently with, that him being with her and the exchange that the two of them have and the relationship that they've built, that it changed him. Ultimately, it made him decide that he did not want anything outside that was going to sacrifice the beautiful relationship that he had already built in home with his wife. Or I believe she might have been the girlfriend at the time, the baby mom at the time, whatever it was. These are important things that women have to know. Number one, She did not force him to do that. He was a willing participant. Ain't no forcing, begging, screaming, crying, fighting that you can do that will force a man to change the way that you want him to change. Like I said before, a lot of y'all get with the man that is outside and want to change him into a husband when he has showed you that that is not what he desires or wants to be. And you believe that it is your purpose and your responsibility to force this man and control him to be something else that he has never showed you. That's number one. Number two, she stayed in her seat and was who she is. And just her being enough of the person who she is, just the relationship the two of them had, the qualities that he saw in her ignited something in him. Not what she said, not the fighting, not the screaming, not the crying, not the begging, because he was already in that space of realizing that he no longer wanted to be in the streets. What do they say? When opportunity meets practice or something like that. That's what it was. 100%. That's why I always tell women, it is important to let that man be whoever he wants to be. And when I say let, I don't mean allow. I mean, he's coming forth in the situation. Don't try to create a scenario. Don't try to lie to yourself. Don't be delusional. Just see it for what it is and let him show you where you lie in his life. That's the only way. You can't build a relationship of you trying to, corner him and force him to think things or try to manipulate the situation. No, let him show you. And based off of what he shows you, the reality, you will understand where you stand. Because men are very good at showing you how intentional they are.
So in terms of being in a marriage, for me, like I told myself, I'm going to take that serious. I don't play with marriage. I'm not that type of guy I don't play with. You know what I'm saying? I'm very intentional when I do something, dog. You feel me? So I'm like, all right, if we're going to get married, we're going to do this. We lock it in. So that's how I hold out on the temptation, bro. I respect mine no matter where I go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
a man who sees marriage as something serious, a man who wanted to be married, a man that decided that that is what he wanted to do. Again, a lot of women are applauding this man in the comment section, but the men who are in your phone, your text messages, your DM, the men who you sneaking linking with have none of these qualities. None of them. If this is the kind of man that you want, prove it with the men that you are entertaining. Prove it with the men who you are opening your body up to. Prove it. Because it's so interesting. A lot of these men are applauded publicly. Whole time, the men who you are really giving access to, entertainment to, relationship to, begging to change and to be into all this, have never told you anything about them wanting to be a husband. Never showed you any kind of discipline in any area. Period. Never come to the table and said that they were going to be something that they weren't going to be. Next thing I want to say is that, everybody is different. You even have some men who are great husbands who never had the mindset that they were even wanting to be a husband. But his principles are so strong that and who he is, aligns with who you are perfectly, and he decides to make that decision. A lot of women believe that because they give access to intimacy, that they are also in control of which man will pick them to be a wife. And that's not true. A man makes that decision. That is 100% on him. You present who you are, and he decides if you're his wife or not. That's a whole nother conversation. A lot of y'all getting sneaky link treatment from men who are actually husbands only because that's what you come to the table as. That's a whole different conversation for a different day. I'd like some of you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this entire situation. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you guys in the next one. Love you.
Rivah TV.